that those who are listening to the recording can actually hear me say this. Your final exam on Friday will open at Friday morning. I open it at 12:01 a.m. and it closes at 11:59 p.m. I don't care when you take it during the day. Okay, you can take it sometime during the day. I will do what I did last time with the final exam we did for the 214 course. I will make it available for 2 attempts. Okay, I'm doing this for a reason. The first time you go through it, I would like you to try it on your own without a whole lot of outside resources. In other words, take it like you would be taking it if you were in the classroom. The second time you take it, if you're not happy with your first grade, go ahead and use available resources, okay? I obviously don't know if you're taking it open book or not, but again, I'm going to make it available twice so that you can take it the first time closed book to see what you learned and what you know, and the second time you can take it if you wanted to get a higher grade. I'll take the one with the highest grade. I just really want to have you guys have a chance to prove to yourself that you actually did learn something from the course. Starting Monday, you're going to be in hydronics and system controls. That's next Monday, June 1st, I think it is, hydronics and system controls. There will be a change in conference time. I will not be your instructor for that course. Okay, but there will be a change in conference time, so make very sure once that course is enrolled in, once we send the enrollment links out and you get an invitation to that course, you start watching those announcements. Okay, so that's what's going on in the future. And does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Nope.
Why do we keep getting different instructors and like getting switched around and stuff?
Because we are at the point where we are taking the best instructors we have available for a certain subject. Okay, I am not a strong hydronics guy. I'll be very flat out and say that. My specialty is more on the system controls, but there's a core portion of that course, hydronics. It's been 7 years since I've taught that course. I would prefer giving it to somebody who's a strong hydronics guy. You'll get more out of it.
All right, thank you. I was just curious.
Yeah, that's the reasoning. When we're in this online environment where we're trying to get you guys through the classroom materials, I'm trying to schedule the best instructors that know that subject matter the best. I just think it makes more sense, and I sort of hope it makes sense to you guys as well. So, and again, if anybody has any questions privately, just send me an email or something. I'll take care of it. Okay, having said that, so let's talk about carbon monoxide, because that's what we need to talk about a little bit today. What can anybody tell me about carbon monoxide? What's our whole premise of carbon monoxide when we want to talk about carbon monoxide?
It's poisonous.
It's poisonous. That's number one. What else can you tell me about carbon monoxide?
Odorless.
It is very odorless. You cannot tell if it's there until you're having effects from it. What is carbon monoxide?
Isn't it a product of bad combustion?
It is absolutely. That's exactly what I was looking for. It's a product of bad combustion. Carbon monoxide is preventable. If we have what's called perfect combustion in this world, in other words, I have the perfect amount of fuel, I have the perfect amount of air, I have the perfect amount of everything mixed together properly, the heat, the whole atmosphere of combustion, I don't get carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is incomplete combustion. Now, the slide set that I'm using today, quite honestly, is one of the best slide set I've seen. It was put together by Marshall University. We use it with permission from them. And the reason is, again, it was such a good slide set. Okay, now, we're going into the summer months, but our primary time we have carbon monoxide problems is the winter months. Okay, carbon monoxide poisoning kills more than 200 people each year. And that's more than 200 people each year. There's some deaths that happen because of carbon monoxide that we're not entirely sure is carbon monoxide. Okay? Your heating system or your customers' heating systems are the primary cause of this carbon monoxide poisoning. Now, I'm not going to say the whole cause, but I'm going to say the primary cause of carbon monoxide poisoning. Okay? So, our whole outline of this presentation, okay, is that we want to take a look at what carbon monoxide is. We want to make sure you're aware of the dangers of carbon monoxide. Okay, we want to talk about some risk management, and we want to talk about symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning, and then talk about some treatment and prevention. Again, just so that you know what you're getting into when you go to a customer's house. So, on your own, take a quick look at these questions, and just, if you have something to jot something down at, just true or false on these questions. Okay, don't answer them right now verbally. Just sort of take a look at it and decide true or false. Okay, carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas, which is dangerous at high levels. It's created when fuels like wood, oil, and gas burn. Normally, small amounts caused by our heating equipment are vented to the outside and do not build up inside. Okay, the next one. Carbon monoxide builds when the air circulating through our homes and heating systems doesn't get vented properly. Venting problems such as bird nests, okay, in chimneys can happen in homes of any age. So one of the causes of carbon monoxide, okay, could be chimneys because of birds' nests. Carbon monoxide is odorless, colorless, and tasteless. It's why it's often called the silent killer. Okay, it's odorless, colorless, and tasteless. Okay, it's why it's often called the silent killer. Heating systems should be checked every year prior to the heating season by a certified heating technician. In our case, licensing applies. Okay, licensing is our certifications. If anyone feels ill, we should get everybody, including pets, out of the house regardless of if an alarm is sounding or not. You call 911 or your local fire department for help. Once the source of carbon monoxide is found, stay out of the house until repairs are completed. If no one is ill, ventilate the building by opening all windows and doors. Reset the alarm. If it continues to sound, somebody, a certified heating technician, has to check for carbon monoxide. Okay. There's a risk that carbon monoxide will leak into the house even if the garage door is open. Okay, true or false? There's a risk if carbon monoxide will leak into the house if the garage door is open. Many victims of carbon monoxide poisoning recover with treatment. However, in very severe cases, carbon monoxide can cause permanent brain damage. Carbon monoxide poisoning has symptoms similar to the flu: nausea, headache, burning eyes, confusion, drowsiness, and loss of consciousness. The key difference is that there's no fever with carbon monoxide poisoning. The symptoms tend to disappear when the person gets fresh air. These are all warning signs. The first line of defense against carbon monoxide poisoning is prevention through annual inspections of your home heating equipment, including vents and chimneys. Alarms are a good second line of defense. Every home should have them. So as you look at these questions, as we went through them, were any of them false?
No.
Nope.
Every one of those were true. Okay, so all of this is a true statement. But the biggest issue you as a technician have with carbon monoxide poisoning is you have to listen to your customer. Okay? 9 out of 10 times carbon monoxide problems are found when you go through the preventative maintenance, when you go do the annual tune-up. They're rarely found through an emergency call. Okay? 9 out of 10 times it's when you go do the preventative maintenance if you listen to the customer. Carbon monoxide is known by this chemical symbol CO. It's a colorless and odorless gas. It is poisonous to people and animals because it displaces oxygen in the blood. It is produced by the incomplete burning of solid, liquid, and gaseous fuels. Appliances fueled with natural gas, liquefied petroleum, which is LP gas, oil, kerosene, coal, or wood may produce carbon monoxide. Burning charcoal produces carbon monoxide. Running cars produce carbon monoxide. All of this produces carbon monoxide. Okay, but again, the key is we don't put it into an enclosed space. Oxygen is carried, as we know, from the lungs by the blood hemoglobin. Okay? During carbon monoxide poisoning, carbon monoxide is carried from the lungs by the blood to the tissues. It prevents oxygen from being carried, and it blocks the normal metabolism. Okay, again, that oxygen is prevented from being absorbed into the blood by carbon monoxide. So you're basically drowning and suffocating without knowing you're drowning and suffocating. CO is so dangerous you can't take it for granted. Okay? We have to be proactive. We have to use risk management to prevent poisoning. Okay? Again, we want to identify the hazard. Now, this is saying inspect your heating system. But when you're in a customer's house, you're inspecting their heating systems. You are looking for things like faulty furnace or heaters in terms of bad heat exchangers. You're looking for things like closed or blocked makeup air returns. You're looking for clogged filters. You're looking for blocked return air registers. You're looking for inadequate ventilation. We're looking for blocked chimney flues. We're looking for carbon monoxide alarms that are not working. A lot of houses don't have them because they only became part of building code probably 10 years ago. If your house was built before 10 years, or your customer's house was built 10 years or earlier, they might not have a carbon monoxide alarm. Okay, or it might be an alarm that the battery has gone dead 20 years ago and no one has changed it out yet. Some plastic furnace vent pipes has been identified and recalled by the Consumer Product Safety Commission and require replacement. There was an earlier type of PVC flue pipe, okay, that was a thinner PVC and was actually cracking under heavy use. And it required replacement. I think those have been all replaced by now, but there still might be some out there. So when you're looking at a furnace, you need to be very careful about where the carbon monoxide could be coming from. It's critical that a furnace actually be inspected. Why do I care about the idea of the blocked return registers? This comes in here a couple times. Blocked return registers. Okay, dirty or clogged air filters. Why do I care about that with carbon monoxide? How can return registers cause a carbon monoxide problem?
No airflow.
Backs up into the house.
Well, is there really a connection? Okay, no airflow is very valid. But is there a true connection between the air in the house and my combustion air? Isn't that separated, okay, by heat exchanger? If we look at a furnace, isn't the air from combustion 100% is separated from the air from the house?
Absolutely.
Okay, so why does a blocked air register cause me a problem? Return air register cause me a problem?
No idea, actually.
Okay, think about a mechanical room. Okay, this is a mechanical room. I have a furnace sitting someplace in a mechanical room. Pardon my lousy drawing. Okay, that furnace is ducted to a return air register someplace in another room, okay? That might be a return air register coming in from like a living room or something like that. If that filter on that return air register gets blocked, okay, has a big blockage in it, or somebody has closed off or thrown a carpet over a return air grill, that furnace is going to start pulling air in any crack or crevice from this mechanical room. When that mechanical room gets low enough pressure, the chimney is going to start venting backwards. Okay, because air always vents from high to low pressure. That chimney is no longer going to have a draft, and that products of combustion is going to start coming into this mechanical room, and it's going to be sucked into the furnace. Make sense?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, that's why these furnace filters are so important. Okay, that's why it's so important to check and make sure the return air is always open. It's why we never put dampers into a return air. We want full return air flow at all times. Okay, we want to be able to, when we look at carbon monoxide, we need to assess the risks. Okay, basically you're looking at how great of the hazard it is compared with the amount of damage it can do. Okay, so if I have a leaky furnace, okay, but if I have great return air, great outside air, I may not panic with the customer and say, oh, I got to shut it down right now. I can let them make a good decision on replacing a furnace, fixing a furnace, or for whatever. Now, if I have a big gaping hole in a heat exchanger, if my flue pipe is venting backwards because the chimney has collapsed or is totally clogged, I can say to the customer, there's no way I'm going to leave this furnace running. It's unhealthy, it's unsafe, and I have to shut it down. We have to make immediate repairs, or we have to do immediate replacements. So there's a little bit of a risk assessment that goes on here. And the risk decision is not totally yours. When you're dealing with customers, believe it or not, that risk assessment and decision is a combination of yours and the customers, and state and federal law.
So okay, the customer can just tell you that he doesn't want it fixed?
A customer owns the equipment. So what you do, this happens on occasion, and this is why I even bring this up as a conversation. What you have to do is you have to write it on your service ticket. Okay, found carbon monoxide, found gap in heat exchanger, or whatever the problem is. I am required to shut down the furnace. Okay, now you're not able to totally disable the furnace because you're not allowed to break equipment. You can shut it off at the service switch. You can shut it off at the oil filter. You can close all the valves. You hang a red tag on it saying unsafe to operate. You turn it off at the circuit breaker. But any of those things that I just said, can the homeowner turn it back on?
Yeah, they can just tags and flip the switch.
Yeah, okay, so once you're out of there, you really don't know what the homeowner has done, but you've done your job. You've red tagged it, you've shut off the switches and closed the valves, and you put it on your service ticket that your homeowner has signed, and you say, I'm turning this down, or I'm shutting it down because it's unsafe. Now, the homeowner may laugh at you and say, I'm just going to turn it back on when you leave. Okay, so what do you do?
Tell them the risks.
There's really nothing you can do other than explain those risks.
In writing as well as verbally, because if it's not in writing on that service ticket that they have signed, guess what? It doesn't exist. Now, we're all people, okay, and we don't want to see anybody get killed. Okay, so if I have like a house full of kids and a stubborn parent that is just going to go turn that back on, what am I going to do? Oil equipment, what am I going to do?
Just not fill it up.
Well, it's already full. I'm there as a service technician. What am I going to do?
Disconnect the hose.
I'll tell you, I'm going to call the fire department. By the time I get to the stop sign at the end of the road, I'm going to have the fire department on the phone.
And they will do what exactly? They'll just...
Oh, they will come out and condemn the property until that furnace is fixed.
Okay.
The fire department has the ability to come out and condemn the house or pump the oil out of the tank.
Wow.
And if a customer turns it back on after the fire department condemned it, guess what it becomes?
They just broke the law. That's it.
Absolutely. Okay, and again, there's a risk assessment, okay? You have to decide because you've just then, at that point, you've pissed off a customer. But if I have a house full of kids there, okay, or elderly, or someone that can't make their own decisions, may I take that a step further and notify some authorities that can make that decision? Yeah, I'm not going to let anyone die for a carbon monoxide problem.
So chances, after all is said and done, you probably lost a customer regardless, but saved a lot.
Depends. Once their hurt feelings are over, I may have gained a lot of customers.
Okay.
Okay? It all depends. Okay? A lot of times people who do stupid things like turn on heating equipment after it's been shut down for being unsafe do it out of, basically, they're pissed off and their emotions are going. Okay, fire department comes in, checks the equipment, finds the same problem I did, looks at the documentation I left, finds the identical problem and tells the customer, hey, listen, he was right, it's unsafe to run. We got to shut it down. Okay, all of a sudden you have somebody else in an authority position that's telling them, you're going to die. Okay, different story. Okay, now, again, it all depends on the severity of the problem. Okay, if it's a minor amount of carbon monoxide, and if I could tell, and if it's a negative 10-degree day, I'm going to try to figure out how to work with the customer to let them get through till the next business day where we can actually get a furnace in there or something like that. I'll work with them. Might deliver space heaters, might deliver electric heaters, might do something else to work with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, again, carbon monoxide is such a serious problem. Is it just high levels of carbon monoxide that's a problem, or is it all levels of carbon monoxide that's a problem?
Yeah, I'd say all levels.
Yeah, high levels is immediate life and death situation, but low levels of carbon monoxide, okay, we're talking levels of carbon monoxide that do not set carbon monoxide alarms off are also a problem. They have actually traced a little bit of, they've done some research studies on this over the years, and people with Alzheimer's, okay, a large number of them were exposed to low levels of carbon monoxide when they were growing up. And that's, again, that's just a couple studies that were done that I've read over the years. Another study that's been done is people with learning disabilities, specifically ADHD and ADD. A large number of those people, especially in the northeastern part of the country, have been exposed to low levels of carbon monoxide over the years. Might not even know it, but there is a correlation, supposedly. Just something to think about. So one of the things that we do is we implement controls to reduce the risk. One thing we do is clean or replace dirty air filters regularly. Okay? Watch the manufacturer's recommendation. If I say 3M filters, okay, does everybody know what I mean? The 3M filters?
Yes.
No.
Okay, I heard a yes and a no, but 3M filters, they're the high-priced air filters. They claim they get 99.99% of all the particulates. They sell in Home Depot for about $30 a piece. They're very expensive, supposedly the best thing on the markets. There's a problem with 3M filters, and I'm going to say, and again, I'm not just picking on the brand name, but there's a problem with those filters. Okay, they actually restrict airflow. So sometimes you have a brand new filter in there, the customer is changing those filters regularly, but it can significantly restrict airflow. Okay, so sometimes the higher priced filters are not necessarily the best, and they can actually restrict airflow enough that that when you pull those filters out, you can actually feel the air whistling around the filters. Okay, because it's restricting airflow so much. We don't want anything in there that restricts airflow to the point that that return air is going to whistle when you pull the air filter out. Okay, so just, again, manufacturer's recommendations. Okay, I've seen this happen in houses a lot. Brand new filters are worse than the old filter that was in there. Okay, we don't use room heaters in a lot of spaces. Supplemental heaters, they're the kerosene heaters that people sit around rooms to get more heat in a room. Using kerosene heaters in an enclosed building with no ventilation is not a good idea. I have actually seen one company that when a customer ran out of oil and was waiting on the oil truck to show up, they would actually give the customer a kerosene heater to use inside their house and until the oil delivery showed up, which might be a day later. Okay, this was a case where actually carbon monoxide alarms did go off the minute that kerosene heater was lit in the house, because you can't use kerosene heaters in a house without proper ventilation. And that means sometimes leaving a window open, which is sort of counterproductive. Okay, people, believe it or not, I've been on responses to carbon monoxide alarms when someone used a barbecue grill inside their house. Okay?
Who uses a barbecue grill in their house?
It was raining outside. The customer wanted to have barbecued chicken.
It doesn't. Jeez, all right.
Don't ask.
So it's just a propane grill?
No, this was a charcoal one. They sat it in the kitchen on their stove. It was one of those little charcoal ones. Sat it in the kitchen on the stove under the vent hood. Okay, there was just one problem. It was one of those recirculating vent hoods. It didn't exhaust outside.
Oh.
Okay. Lighting of fireplaces sets carbon monoxide alarms off. People forget to open those flues all the time. Why do we care about knowing about this stuff? Why is this important to keep in mind when you're out as a service technician answering a carbon monoxide alarm? Why do we care about this stuff?
Sorry, go ahead, man.
Because it can save lives?
Well, not only that, it might not be the furnace, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a very good chance that the carbon monoxide alarm may have gotten from somebody else. Or something else. Never leave your vehicle running in a garage.
Oh, no.
Don't assume that opening a garage door is sufficient protection.
Oh, no.
Okay, you've seen this happen every winter. In other words, you also may be guilty, or someone in your family may be guilty. Okay, they open the garage door, they start the car, and they leave it running while the car warms up. Okay, the problem is the stack effect of the house. As exhaust fumes are going to be pulled into the garage and up through the roof, up through every crack and crevice into the house, because it's hot air, right? Cold outside. Cold air comes in through the garage door, fills that garage with cold air, but the hot air is going to continue to rise. Okay? When you return, the whole goal is to keep carbon monoxide out of the garage. I'm going to tell you right now, about 50% of the carbon monoxide calls I used to go on when I lived in the Northeast was because of the garage issue. Okay, and on some of them, I just lucked out that we saw it happening. Okay. Carbon monoxide issues might not always start with the furnace, and that's the point I'm trying to make here. Carbon monoxide alarms are extremely important. Okay, you don't buy just necessarily the one off the Home Depot shelf. They actually go at 100 parts per million of carbon monoxide over a certain amount of time. That's pretty high. We want to use units that are designed to sense low levels of carbon monoxide. Okay? I want to know if there's low levels of carbon monoxide in the house. You as a service technician, do you want to know if there's carbon monoxide in the house before you go in the house?
Yes.
Do you want to go in a basement without having a carbon monoxide alarm on your tool bag?
No.
No. Spend the money. Spend $70 if you start doing a lot of oil and gas service calls, and hang a low-level carbon monoxide alarm on the outside of your tool bag. Or use your combustion analyzer. And once you get into shop, your instructor is going to show you how to do this. Use your combustion analyzer to sense the levels of carbon monoxide in the basement. Okay? That's why we always calibrate our tools outside. Whenever we start our combustion analyzers, we start them outside. The whole goal is that they're calibrated to outside air levels, and then when we go in the house, we see if there's carbon monoxide in the house. It shows us it right on the readout, and we can deal with it. Okay? Carbon monoxide alarm sensors only last for 10 years. Okay? The sensors, the stuff that senses the carbon monoxide in these alarms only last for 10 years. There's an expiration date stamped on the back of every single one of these carbon monoxide alarms. You'd be surprised how many are installed in houses and they're never changed out. 10 years is all it has. Okay, expiration dates are important. You actually be surprised how many are sitting on the store shelves and are already expired. Look. Okay, be sensitive to health changes. If you suspect you or someone in the house is experiencing carbon monoxide exposure or poisoning, get them out. Open doors, windows. Okay? Call the emergency telephone number, which is 911, and get out. Don't wait. Carbon monoxide is a very critical issue. It's actually blocking oxygen flow to your brain. Okay, now, if you pull up to a house, okay, where you're the service technician and you're going up to a house, okay, part of your initial conversation, hey folks, how are you doing? Okay, is there anything you need to tell me about? Is there anything that's changed in the house? Or if you walk in and everyone has, basically 3 people are looking like they have the flu, the dog is laying around, and the dog is normally a healthy dog. You've met this dog before because you're there year after year, and you basically, hey, is your dog feeling okay? Okay, that is a primary sign if pets are not feeling good. If pets are feeling lethargic and not doing much of anything, especially if you've seen this animal year after year after year and all of a sudden it's not doing well. I'd be testing that air for carbon monoxide. I wouldn't say anything to the customer before I found out, but I'd sure be testing that air because pets show carbon monoxide poisoning first before humans do. Okay, everything on here burns some type of fuel. Okay, everything on here is a risk for carbon monoxide. Okay, everything on here is either not usable in somebody's house or needs to be carefully vented to the outside environment. Okay, there's only 2 of these things in here that should be used in an inside environment, and that's your fireplace and your furnace. Everything else should never be inside. First kind of symptoms of carbon monoxide poisoning is a tightness across the forehead, followed by headache and a pounding of the heart. Okay? Positive sign, symptom, whatever, of progressive carbon monoxide poisoning, the victim's face is going to be extremely red. Weariness, dizziness, mental changes may also occur. Okay? People can sometimes pass out without feeling any of these symptoms. I have actually been in somebody's basement where I had to get out. Okay, because I started feeling this while I was doing a service call, and I had to get out of the house. Okay, you got to watch this stuff. That headache you're feeling may not just because you had a late night the day before, no coffee the next morning. Okay, there might be carbon monoxide poisoning. Okay, the whole idea, you get the victim or yourself away from the contaminated area into fresh air and loosen clothing. Okay, somebody trained can give artificial respiration or CPR if necessary. If oxygen is available, they give it to the person. This is the first responders' normally responsibility. Seek medical attention immediately. Okay, if you find carbon monoxide in a house where people are there, all you can recommend, okay, listen, there's carbon monoxide in the house. You guys need to get out of here. We need to find the problem. Okay, you guys need to see a doctor. Okay, and you put that in writing. If it isn't in writing, it didn't exist. Okay, and again, if you have carbon monoxide, get out of the house. Get out of the basement. It's not worth trying to hang out there and possibly having carbon monoxide poisoning. Okay? The symptoms can occur days or weeks later. Even if the person has fully recovered, these symptoms can come back. Things like blurry vision, loss of sight, dizziness, changes in emotions, okay, mental changes, depression, all of these symptoms can come back later because the person's brain was deprived of oxygen. Okay. Where is CO located? Every place on here can have carbon monoxide. Okay, so a house that has any fossil burning fuel is a source of carbon monoxide. Okay, some of them are in some parts of the country more often than others. Okay, your garage. Okay, we have people who use charcoal grills in their garage, believe it or not. Again, it's raining outside. They don't want to get wet. They open their garage door. They think it's okay to use a grill in there. They warm up their cars in the garages. You have room heaters that can be improperly ventilated. Okay? You have malfunctioning ranges. Okay, this is a big source of carbon monoxide, believe it or not. Gas stoves is one of the biggest sources of carbon monoxide in houses. Gas ovens, they don't vent outside. The exhaust from the oven is into the room. Not always the turkey that makes people feel tired on Thanksgiving. Okay, gas ovens vent into the space. Okay, fireplaces. Some people, believe it or not, have run gasoline or propane generators in their basement because they're afraid their generator is going to get ripped off if they run it outside. Source of carbon monoxide. And then, of course, we have the furnaces that could be malfunctioning. Okay, all of this can be sources of carbon monoxide. Questions?
No, sir.
Okay. You can safeguard somewhat against carbon monoxide poisoning on your own, okay, as a part of your own service work. Again, this is more designated for people who are basically homeowners or who aren't familiar with carbon monoxide, but a lot of times you're going to be in the winter months tempted to sit in a vehicle for long periods of time with the engine running and windows closed. Usually not a good idea because no matter what you have, there's exhaust leaks or leaks in the floor of the vehicle. Okay, again, never sleep in or near vehicles with engines running. Don't operate engines in closed garages with exhaust ventilation. Okay, if you look around our campuses, Okay, when they run the cars in the auto shops, they're supposed to have a hose connected to the exhaust pipe. Okay, there's an exhaust ventilation on it. We want to make sure that there's no leaks in vehicle exhaust systems. Again, when you're in a service van that your company provides you, be aware. You don't want to sit in there for long periods of time with the engine running, waiting for your next call, doing paperwork, or taking a nap through lunch. Okay, because you don't know if there's a carbon monoxide leak. Avoid the use of unvented heaters and charcoal grills in closed areas. Okay, we don't want to be in a room or house heated by charcoal. Charcoal doesn't burn completely. It always puts off large amounts of carbon monoxide. Always. Okay, if in doubt, if the heating system is working properly, open a window for ventilation. We try to tell people not to sleep directly on floors. Carbon monoxide sort of sits around floor level. Okay, carbon monoxide is slightly heavier than air. Heaters. Okay, heating systems, leak-free. Furnaces need to be checked by professionals. And the #1 prevention of carbon monoxide poisoning is to have a carbon monoxide detector installed properly and working properly. Okay? And again, more for people who get stranded in cars and stuff like that. Okay, if you're stranded someplace, and this happens to service techs all the time, you might go down a road someplace and get stuck and be waiting for help. Don't sit in a vehicle with the engine running for long periods of time. Okay, only run the engine as needed as necessary to keep warm. It happens to service techs every single year. You get stranded someplace, you're going to run the engine to keep warm, but we've had service techs die because their exhaust pipes get clogged, and they get carbon monoxide poisoning. It happens. Okay, so again, carbon monoxide, tasteless, odorless, colorless. You do not know if it's there unless you have tested. That's how you know carbon monoxide is there. Questions on carbon monoxide?
Nope.
Okay. Again, it's your responsibility to test. Couple mechanical codes I quickly want to just touch on. As I said, today wasn't going to be a long class, but I just do want to touch on a couple mechanical codes just to make aware. First of all, you have to have a valid copy of the mechanical code book that's applicable to the state you're working in. Okay, this group only has people from Connecticut in it. So you're looking at the International Mechanical Code. You're looking at the NFPA 31 for oil equipment. Okay, but you've got to know which codes you're on. And if you ever have a code question, where you go is to the building officials. Okay, it's easy to call a building office. They would rather answer the question up front. They might laugh at you if it's something you should already know, but it's better they'll respect you more for asking the question up front than having to go back and fix something later. You cannot have fuel-fired appliances in anything that's a sleeping room, in other words, bedroom. You can't have it in bathrooms. You can't have it in dedicated, they call them water closets or toilet rooms. It's a room off the bathroom specifically for the toilet. You can't have it in storage closets. And you can't put a fuel-fired appliance if you're working in a hospital or a doctor's office in any place that's considered a surgical room. Reasons for these, very simple. Carbon monoxide, lack of makeup air, and in the last case, oxygen. You don't want to mix oxygen any place where there's a flame. It's an explosion hazard. Appliances installed inside pits or excavation should not come in direct contact with surrounding soils. Okay, we've had situations where oil furnaces are installed under somebody's house in a crawl space where they've dug out a pit to put this in. Okay, the size of the pit or excavation needs to be held back a minimum of 12 inches from the appliance. Okay, and if the depth exceeds 12 inches below the grade, okay, it needs to be lined with concrete or masonry. Again, we don't want things to collapse on the appliances. You don't want water running in. There has to be room to service it. Now, honestly, 12 inches is not all that great because you have to be able to get in and service it, and I don't think anybody can fit into a 12-inch space. Okay, but that's what the rule says. Mechanical systems will not be located in elevator shafts. Can anybody tell me why? Why can't I put a mechanical system in an elevator shaft?
Because it's always like an enclosed area, maybe?
That's part of it. It's an enclosed area. Ventilation is a problem. What's the other part of it? Is an elevator shaft a big old chimney?
Pretty much.
Yeah, hot air is going to rise, and it's going to suck the air the wrong direction from the chimney because the elevator shaft is going to be bigger than the chimney, and it's going to actually create a draft that's coming out of the furnace in the wrong direction. And then I have an elevator going up and down in that elevator shaft with people in it who have a chance of getting carbon monoxide poisoning. Okay. Piping supports are extremely important. Guys, when you go take your exams, when you take your state exams, piping supports is a primary topic on state exams. Okay, but by what we mean is when you run, if you're running piping, okay, across a room or across a building, so I have a length of pipe running, it's how often do I have to put a support in? How frequently do I have to support that piping against the building? Okay? It is extremely important, and the reason it's so important is because as buildings move, shift, and pipes heat and cool over time, okay, the pipes can sag and they can actually break. But the second reason for importance, if you don't understand what we're talking about with piping support, and if you can't find it in your code books, which is in section 305.4, okay, of International Mechanical Code, there is a problem because you will probably fail your state exam. Okay, so this is off a table in the Mechanical Code book. If I am running cast iron pipe, okay, cast iron, and if I'm running it across a basement ceiling, it's a horizontal run. I have to support that cast iron pipe every 5 feet. If I'm running it up and down, okay, in other words, it's running up through a wall, along a wall, up to like the 3rd floor, or even 2nd floor, I have to support that cast iron piping every 15 feet. Now, it depends on types, because if I'm running copper piping, I only have to support it every 12 feet and every 10 feet on a vertical spacing. It all has to do with how piping holds together under stress. Okay, so brass tubing, okay, can go 6 feet different and 10 feet. Okay, copper tubing. What size copper tubing do we use for oil? Oil lines. What size copper tubing?
1 1/4.
Nah. Think about the oil between the tank and the pump. What size tubing?
1/4.
3/4.
How about 3/8?
Oh.
Okay, I use rolled copper tubing. Okay, so it falls in my 1 1/4 or smaller. If I'm going across the basement ceiling with it, not running it along the floor, I have to support it every 6 feet. If I'm going up a floor and coming back down another area, I have to support it at a minimum every 10 feet. Now, am I going to support it more than that? Oh, yeah, but this is my minimum. Okay, this is my minimum code requirements. Now, am I going to come across a basement ceiling and only going to support my copper tubing every 6 feet? Anybody?
You probably will come across it. But
yeah, but how often am I actually going to support it if I'm doing this right, if I want a quality install?
Half that.
probably close to every single ceiling joist I'm running across. Takes me 10 seconds to throw in a support, anchoring that piping to the joist, to the floor joist I'm coming across. Okay, and it's going to look cleaner and neater. And when the future Mrs. Homeowner or Mr. Homeowner decides to hang their winter coats to defrost next to the furnace, okay, on the oil pump pipe, it's not going to pull it down off the ceiling.
Okay, I've seen that done.
Okay. I may have been guilty of that myself a few times. But again, the point is, these are my minimum code requirements. Okay? Quality installs, quality jobs exceed the minimum code requirements. Okay, PVC pipe. Where do we use PVC pipe that you might see as a part of the combustion process?
For the drip tube?
I might use it for condensate, I think is what you're talking about. Might use it for condensate. Where else might I use PVC piping?
The flue pipe?
Sometimes I use it on flue pipe. Again, I'm running it across a basement sometimes. Am I going to let it go every 4 feet without hanging it? No, this is my minimum code requirement. I want to exceed this. Okay, building inspectors notice the technicians and the companies that always exceed minimum code requirements, and they give you a little bit more leeway. Okay, they'll actually, sometimes you get to a point where the building inspector says, send me a picture of the install and I'll sign off on it. It's because they know you always do it right. Okay, so again, these are my minimum requirements, and they change from time to time, so you have to look in the mechanical code book that's for the year that the state has actually that they're using at the time, because it's not always the current code year. Questions on this?
No.
No, sir.
Okay, gentlemen, I think that's all I have for today. As I said, we're running a little bit ahead. Make sure all assignments are turned in by Friday. Okay, Friday, 5/29 at 11:59 p.m. All the assignments that have been assigned are due.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have for today. You guys have a great rest of the day.
You too.
You as well.
You too. Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Hey, Barry, hang out a few minutes if you will.